Welcome, colorful creators. For you now, I am going to demonstrate the faux watercoloring technique. This is a technique I use when I want a watercolor look, but I want to use my stamps to achieve it. What I start with first is shimmery white paper. I have done a card with just the plain white cardstock, and it came out okay, but I really like the look of the shimmery white a little bit better. You could certainly also use watercolor paper. And for today, I'm going to use a perfectly plaid stamp set because I love the little tree. And I like the greetings a lot on this set. So the tools that you need are a Spritzer, or you could use an Aqua Painter as well. And I actually like the Aqua Painter a little bit better because it's less messy. So to start off, I'm taking the Pool Party. I'm going to put my block into it, because I want a bit of a background. So you could do this just by wetting paper if you only wanted to do a tree, to use the punch to punch it out. But what I'm going to do is take my Aqua Painter, put it right into my Pool Party, and kind of putting a little, squeezing it on the barrel to put more water on it. And I'm going to go just like that. So I only want a bit of a background, and I can run it up a little to the top just to blend it. But I like that because I just wanted a subtle effect. So what I'm going to use now is a shaded spruce and my tree stamp. So this is a photopolymer stamp, and it would actually work better with padding underneath it. I don't have that right now though. So this is wet, and you know what, I want to make it even, because I know it's dry in my house today, so it's drying quickly on the paper. And I'm going to stamp once here. See how it's starting to feather a bit? And then I'm going to do a second stamp. If I want a little more color on the inside, I can just use my Aqua Painter to pull it in. I'm just going to dab a little off of the ink pad. It is a little different. As the paper dries, it will stop feathering because there will be no liquid for it to follow. And then I'm going to do one more over here. And this one there wasn't as much water, so you can see it doesn't feather quite as much. To kind of give them structure and root them in the ground, I'm going to add the little stem here. And I'll go ahead and stamp that. I don't know how much it's going to blend. We shall see. I've got a little bit of a holiday there, so I'm going to use my blender pen just to spread the ink around. So once this dries, I will add on it some decorative effects. And this is one that a card that I made recently, and I used the Whisper White. It did not feather as much as it is on the Shimmery White. You can see there. It did a little bit, but not as much. So I like the Shimmery White effect better. And it's getting almost a little bit bushy on this one because I did add the extra water there. I think that'll be really pretty though if I put some rhinestones on it. So as soon as this dries, I will make a card out of it. I will spritz one using the spritzer. And for this one, when I go ahead and stamp, so this is something I can use with the punch, the tree punch. I want to make sure that it's not pooling, because if I go to stamp on that and it's pooling, it's going to really spread out greatly. So what I'll do first is I'm going to just blot it with a paper towel, and then let's see what the effect is using the shaded spruce again. And I'm leaving room for the punch and the stem, so I'll punch that out once it dries. And the paper does curl up. I could have taped this down onto like a paper board, but it's an extra step, and I'm okay doing it this way. This one I did not leave as much room for my stem on the punch, so I'll probably put that behind other trees or underneath the label and the greeting. So trying to alternate, get as much space out of my card as I can. It's dried a bit more. I didn't get as much water up here, so this is going to be not the same effect as this. I think this is a little prettier. It's like a more natural. So what I'll do with this one, I can still do the stem. Oh, I wonder if I've done them too off center. Let's see. I'll grab my punch after this and we'll see. And that one is below, and I've just made a little bit of a boo-boo because I had too much ink on my block. But those things do happen, so I can just punch this tree out and tuck that behind another tree. Normally I would let it dry a bit longer before punching it. But let's see how this works. Okay. I've got one there. Two. And my trees are a bit off center with the early espresso I stamped there for the base of the tree. But no worries. I'm going to realize that it's there more than anyone else. Okay, so I think that these will be really cute. And what I could do is I can use my Aqua Painter. This is fun. Let's see, so get a little of the pool party on here. And I could cover the whole base. And once this dries, I could adhere these trees. I'm going to let it dry first. Okay, my work has dried, and while it was drying, I went ahead and made card bases for them. So for the blues, I used Pool Party for both of these. This is the base, and then this is the first layer. And I went and punched out my trees. I'd done that before. And so once they're can be a little bit curved, so what I like to do is just use the heat of my fingers to iron them out a bit. And pretty easy to do. If they were flower petals, then I could, curl them. I could use my bone folder to do something like that. I don't know that I want it with the tree, so I think I like them flat. With this card, I used Cherry Cobbler with the Cherry Cobbler ribbon underneath, and I like how these really look. They are certainly looking watercolored and not stamped as, say, this image is, where it didn't have as much water. So I'm going to take one of the trees that I punched and put a dimensional right on the back of it, and I'm going to stick this in here just for a three-dimensional look. So I can still see the trunk there a bit. And then I have the rhinestones, and these are Cherry Cobbler color. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little shine to it. The other ones are shaded spruce, but I think I'd like to keep with the Cherry Cobbler color. And there. Okay, so my card is complete. I like that. It's pretty. Okay, so then the second one, these I'm going to make them all 3D because I think having that pop out is kind of a fun look. So these are my problem children because I've gotten a little ink there when I didn't really want it, and then I cut the trunk of that off, but I can still use them. They're all perfectly fine. Let me just get my pieces of dimensional to put there, and my fingers are quite inky since I did a demonstration for the sprinkles also, the pigment sprinkles. So this one is my main one, I guess. So I'm going to put that there. And this one I'm going to hide. That under there. All right, I think if I've planned this out correctly, then I can come in. I put this up a little high. Another trick is if you know you're putting a layer where it's on a dimensional, needs to go other, you can put the dimensional on first and then add. So I like that because I can still see the trunk. I've got dimension. This would be really cute with some added Wink of Stella. And it does blend a bit when you use Wink of Stella. It picks up the color. I think that's very pretty though. And this one where I didn't get as much water on the paper, so it didn't look as watercolor-ish, it didn't feather as much, I can blend out the stamp. So even though that's shimmer paper, I do add a little extra Wink of Stella. And on this one, because I did use real red on the stamp and for this paper, I think that it would be pretty to use some real red rhinestones. And so I could put it on the trees or I could put it out here. You know what? I'm going to put it on the trees because I like that. I think it would be fun for either like little ornaments or their little lights. And my light here is picking it up for me quite well, and I hope that you can see that too on the screen. So I usually do things in threes, odd numbers, 3s, 5s, 7s. The card to my left I only used, well, I used 4, which is not normal, but I guess they were 3 that were on the paper and 1 that was up raised. So that made it a little bit less even though there are 4. So here's this card. I like it. It's very simple. This one I did add the embossing folder for the red to give it a little extra oomph. I could also add little snowflakes here, the embellishments that were in the fall catalog. But I think this technique is great to use all times of the year, and I'm actually excited to use it with some flower stamp sets that I have coming. So I'll have to give that a try and post it. But thank you for watching, and I hope that you have fun doing the faux watercoloring technique.